into it. Want to hear more from you about your recruiting process. Originally, you played football, right? Want to hear kind of
Yeah.
more about your story from D3 to D1 and so forth. So if you could please share.
Yeah. Yeah. So there's no Division III schools in Montana. So I actually had to reach out to schools in Washington and Oregon coming out of high school because they don't have the means to recruit that far. So I reached out to a few schools: Lewis and Clark College, Willamette, Puget Sound University, and eventually I landed with Lewis and Clark College in Portland, Oregon. I played there for my first semester freshman year. I played D-line and tight end, actually. And then after that first season, I wanted to transfer back to University of Montana, or transfer to University of Montana and try out for the football team there. They have what is called a winter conditioning tryout. So it's open to the public. It's open to the school. You take it. It's actually a class. You get a credit. And it's Tuesdays and Thursdays at 5 a.m. outside of Montana in February. So it's about 3 inches of snow and 5 degrees. But basically it was Tuesdays and Thursdays for an hour and a half. They ran you as hard as they could with the team. And then at the end of that, after I think it was 12 weeks of it, you would either get invited to spring ball or not. So my freshman year, I did that, and I didn't get invited to spring ball. So then I was going to be done with sports, actually played a little bit of rugby that spring semester. And then over the summer, I kind of reevaluated what I wanted to do, and I started training again. And then that next coming winter, I did the class again, and that time I got invited to spring ball. They recruited me as a tight end. And then shortly after, I was moved to O-line, and then I was at UM O-lineman from then on.
Oh, wow. So I actually want to take a step back there. So you mentioned football. Like, obviously you play for the New England Free Jacks now. You play rugby, but want to hear a little bit more about your mindset kind of going from high school to college. Did you know football was going to be the choice?
Throughout high school, I wasn't really that interested in pursuing sports past high school. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed being with my friends. Football is fun. Track and field's fun, sitting out in the sun, hanging out. But I was just ready to go to school. I was actually looking to go to Montana State. I don't even want to say that because I stand them. But no, out of high school, it wasn't until after my senior year of football, when I got done, I realized that, maybe I could try to pursue this and work hard and see what could happen. And so I eventually, like I said, went to Lewis and Clark College, and I kept developing, kept growing, got bigger, got, taller. And then from then I just realized that, Division III wasn't quite enough for me in the sense of football. So I really wanted to try to shoot for something bigger, and playing for the University of Montana as a kid in Montana is like a dream come true. So.
Yeah. Did you start right away at Lewis and Clark?
I didn't start. I played quite a bit. They weren't used to having someone, 6'4", 6'5", in a Division III school is pretty rare because you can't really, teach or train height. So I played quite a bit, and I think they saw the potential in me, so they really wanted me to stay. So it was, hard decision to leave. I made a lot of great friends, but ultimately it paid off.
Yeah, definitely. Because same journey for me. My freshman year, I went to Pine Manor and transitioned there to Endicott. And some people think it's a risky move because you're transitioning, you're going to a new campus. That's a new set of friends. But sometimes you kind of just have to make those moves. It worked out for me, and it sounds like it worked out for you. So it was one of those risky moves that ended up paying off. But that's good to hear, man. It's interesting to kind of hear.
Now, you mentioned you were 6'4" at the time. How tall are you now?
6'6".
6'6". So a little bit more about high school. How tall were you then? And it seems like you kind of sprung up in college and then realized, hey, I outgrew D3. So I want to hear a little bit more about your mindset. When was really you realized hey, I could take this up a notch, or did it keep going from each level?
It kept growing. I remember in high school, I really was like, man, I could play Division III football. I really want to do this. I started, weight training before my end of my senior year. I didn't even lift weights. I weighed 200 pounds and played tackle, and as a skinny, fat, white kid. And so I started training, and then at Lewis and Clark, I kept developing and things like that. And I thought, maybe I could take this to the next level. And so I, went and tried out, didn't make it. And then I think probably that summer going into my sophomore year is when I really decided I gotta, try something I've never done before and give it really everything I got. And then, that worked out. I eventually made the team. And then I think the next time I stepped that level up is when I decided to try out for NFL and did the UM Pro Day. And so that's when I went and, so that's when I moved to Southern California, actually with my parents. There's a training facility there in Palm Springs, California. So I trained there for a few months, made some connections with some older offensive linemen who train O-linemen now who are preparing for the draft. And then I went to Atlanta and stayed there for a month and trained with a few people. And that's when I eventually would try out for the pros after that.
Damn, so sports really taking you all over. So let's kind of focus a little bit more on that NFL tryout, because I want to hear more about that experience. Did you kind of have your mind set already that, hey, no matter what, I was going to go to the league, or same thing? Did you have a game or a standout performance where you're like, hey, I could actually give this a go?
Yeah. Well, it's kind of similar to high school, is where I was playing. I actually started my first game that fall after I made the team in the spring. The tackle in front of me became academically ineligible, and then I all of a sudden was thrusted in the starting spot. And actually, my first game was against the University of Wyoming, and I played against a D end who would eventually go to the pros. But yeah, so I was kind of in and out of starting positions. I got hurt my junior year, high ankle sprain. So I was kind of fighting. I was kind of like the sixth man coming off the bench, sort of, for the O-line. I played tackle, guard, and center. But then my senior year is when I had really my breakout year. I gained, a good amount of weight. I got up to 300. And then, I was all conference my senior year, and a lot of guys on the team were like, hey, you really should, my coach approached me as well. He's like, hey, you really should look to maybe do pro day and try out for the pros, or maybe Canadian football. And, I sat down and thought about it and talked to my parents and my girlfriend Noelle, and came to the decision that I should definitely give it a shot.
Yeah, it seems like, at least for you, you had that encouragement and that extra push to. So, kind of diving in more to that NFL trial, and what was it like afterwards from that? What's the biggest thing you took from that?
It didn't go as well as I wanted. My numbers, my 40, the bench press, all those things. It wasn't great. Obviously I didn't stand out, because or else I'd be, hopefully playing in the pros. But, afterwards I had a lot of kind of sadness and self-doubt, and wondered why I was even doing it, because, I didn't get a call. I didn't get a call for even a tryout or anything. And that's all I really wanted, was a tryout. I never expected to get drafted or anything like that. I just thought, get me on the field and we'll see. But, that opportunity never came. And, at first I was pretty mad and disappointed, but in the end I just realized that, I tried, and I'll never have to wonder, if it ever could have been. So.
Yeah, and I think that's great advice right now. Obviously with the NFL draft that just happened, that's only a certain amount of athletes, but you have all those athletes like yourself who kind of transition to that next phase of undrafted free agent, or getting a tryout for a team. But that give that D3 athlete, that D2 athlete, or that underrated D1 athlete that little bit of confidence or advice to just go for it, because either way, you never know where you may end up or what you may get from it.